Hello, Slam Jammers. Well, hot off the heels of the PPA Melbourne event, we moved straight into the combined NPL PWR first event in Sydney. It was worth $30,000, but more importantly, 400 PWR points. It was a tournament that delivered high intensity matches and some standout performances. And I'm sitting with one of the commentators there on the pickleball court. They know him as Smash and Dash Ash. Commentator Ash Williams. How you going, my friend?
Adam, how are you, buddy? I've got to
Good.
be honest. That's the first time I've ever heard smash
Smash
and
and
dash.
Dash.
Ash, is that
Well, I've made it up on the
prototype or what?
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon it suits you well because I have seen you play. We haven't played against each other, and that's one thing I'd love to do, mate. It would be great to do. I'm more of a doubles guy. I know you like to do singles, but you do like to attack the kitchen line. So you are a bit of a smash and dash into that kitchen line.
Mate, look, I'll accept the nickname. It's my first in pickleball, but yeah, man, whatever you can do to win, man.
Well,
Uh,
I reckon you've got a few nicknames. I reckon you're quite a handsome fella. I reckon probably in the 2000s, the nightclub days, you're probably better known as Passion Dash Ash. You break a few hearts.
early 2000s, maybe when I didn't realize that I could have been looking for the one. When you're younger, I think you think there's lots of fish in the ocean, Adam. But are we talking about pickleball? I don't know. So
Yeah.
anyway, little mate, we had a big weekend up in Sydney at the PWR 400, the NPL championships, and yeah, man, there was some great pickleball.
Yeah, well, I was away on a camping trip, a boys' camping trip, so I sparingly got to tune in. But I thought you did a really good job, and working with Dylan, how much of a pro is he? He's just easy to sit next to, right?
Yeah, it's good, mate. I feel like we had good chemistry because we're very different, and yeah, it was very easy to work with him because he's obviously done it for 25 years or however long he told me, and
Yeah.
yeah, I was just there for a bit of fun and watch some good pickleball, have a bit of a laugh, and hopefully give some of my insights as well because I know the game pretty well.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, we're going to get into your insights because obviously covering all the matches. Mate, I want to start off with the singles. We had Summer Bonner win the gold and Danielle Townsend win silver. Great result for both of those girls. Summer Bonner, she's proving to be almost untouchable in women's singles, fresh off a silver medal at the PPA Melbourne event. And she once again dominated the competition there. Is she the best in the country right now, Ash?
100%,
Yeah.
100 in singles. I mean, no question. I mean, and the funny thing about Summer Bonner is she's very happy-go-lucky and laissez-faire about her pickleball, I believe. Like, I think she could actually step it up. She's still working a full-time job in accounting, 5 days a week. I mean, she could be like number 8 in the world in singles. I reckon she's probably around that mark, maybe 10. I don't know. She took, is it Caitlin Christensen, or
Yeah.
Christian
Christian.
Caitlin Christensen is about 200, but Caitlin Christensen's number 2 in the world. Took her to 3 sets. Mate, I reckon she's a star, not just in Australian pickleball, but world pickleball. And no one got near her. I mean, I should say that Selena Tarulia won the first set against her in the semi-final and was looking good, but then Summer kind of, to use that video game meme, she leant forward in her chair and really zeroed in and hit her targets in the second and third games.
Yeah, I love watching Summer play. I think we all do. She has an amazing temperament on the court. She doesn't ride, the highs and lows for very long. She's just straight back to the baseline to either receive or serve the next one. But Danielle Townsend, well, big name signing for NPL. She's featured in medals in every event. So she certainly lived up to, her billing, I guess. At the end of the day, Summer is just going to be always there or thereabouts when it comes to finals. But Danielle Townsend, what was her run like, and how close did she really get to Summer?
Well, she didn't get close to Summer because she played her final in the quarterfinal against Mickey Hyatt, and I think she was down 11-4 or something ridiculous in the first to 15 against Mickey. And she had a bad blister on her foot. She looked shot out there, but I said to Dylan in the commentary box, if Danny can get her teeth into the match and somehow get it back to like, if it's like 11-5, 11-6, she gets interested in the match and she'll find a way. And that's exactly what happened. She ended up winning that match. There's no hyperbole here. It was the best pickleball match I've ever seen in person.
Wow.
It was a classic, and it was one of the best comebacks, and it was theatre, Adam. I mean, Danny's an emotional player at the best of times, but we're seeing come-ons, we're seeing her crying during points. We're seeing Mickey Hayat, who had a huge lead and kind of bottled it in a way, and she was pissed, man. She left the stadium right after that. I think it's the first time she's actually lost to Danny Townsend, which really surprised me. I was talking to Danny and her coach Ben Costin afterwards, and they said to me, have a guess what the head-to-head is with Danny and Mickey. And I said, I don't know, like 10-1 to Danny. And they said it's about 15-0 to Mickey.
Wow.
So that win was remarkable in many ways. And then she took on B Massey in the semi, still couldn't really move. But again, got going, and that was just a tussle. Both ladies were injured. I think B Massey did a rib. She literally, I didn't see the point, but I've heard what happened anecdotally. That during the point, she kind of landed, her paddle hit her rib as she was running.
Yeah.
And she knocked her rib out of place.
Fair
dinkum. So she was injured, Danny was injured, and then Danny was kind of the walking wounded into the final. And beware the walking wounded, Adam. I mean, playing someone who's ostensibly and clearly injured is always hard, but I don't think Summer was falling for it. And I know there was someone who, I won't say who it was, a pickleball pro, said, I'm not buying for 1 second that Danny's injured, because once the rally starts, she's as good as you've seen. Now, she was injured, I know that, but I can understand what they were saying in that it doesn't actually matter if you're playing Danny, whether she's injured or not. She's a competitor and she's going to find a way to win.
I think about to say the same thing. She'll find a way for sure. Did you see any of that B Massey, Daniel Townsend match at all, or you were on a different court or having a break?
It was on the side court to center court, so I could just see it. Every couple of points. I didn't watch the whole thing. But
body language wise, did it look like there was much verbal jousting between those two? Because I saw a very feisty match between those two at the Australian Pickleball Championships last year.
Yeah, I've heard that they've had a bit of a spicy history, but it looked rather convivial and friendly. And neither lady was taking a backward step, but that's just how they both play. And I think a lot of people would love to beat both of those players. If you're coming up against Danny or B Massey respectively, you're like, no one's going to want to lose to those players. Are spicy characters, and they let you know who's on the other side of the court, don't they? So, but I think overall that game was played in good spirits.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more spice, maybe stirring the pot on that one. But we do have to move on to the men's singles. Harrison Brown looked like he put in quite the performance, but to get to that final, Matthew Kuznetsov picking up the silver there against Harrison Brown and Kyle Stoker with the bronze. Tell us about Harrison Brown's path to gold, mate.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember who he beat. So he was pretty good in the pool matches, obviously. He took care of everyone. I think he might have had Josh Chia in his pool. So Josh Chia finished second. Harrison Brown then went through. Off the top of my head, he played Nicky Malaganaeus in the round of 16. In the quarters, I think he played Aaron Johnson or Johnston. And Aaron Johnson took him 15-13. So he was the closest to get to Harrison. And then Harry played Kyle Stoker in the semi. And then he, of course, took out Matt Kuznetsov in the final. But Kyle Stoker obviously won the NPL championships in Sydney last year and came in a pretty warm favourite this year. I know he was having trouble reading Harrison Brown's forehand. Harry was absolutely ripping that forehand and wasn't giving too much away in terms of his temperament. Harry's, I don't know, man. He'd be a great poker player because he just gives you nothing. And all day, Dylan and I were referencing this, but then I think it was 3-love or 4-love in the third game in the final against Matt Kuznetsov, he gave an almighty roar, almighty, like a lion in the jungle. And when you don't give a roar all day, and then you give a roar, in the final game of the day, it really is palpable. And he managed his emotions really well, and he deserved to win, even though Matt Kuznetsov was playing off his face in the whole day. Really, I think Harrison Brown was a deserved winner.
Well, my observation since I've seen Harrison Brown, and look, he only really sort of bobbed his head up, NPL last year, and again the Australian Pickleball Championships when I saw him play against Tom Evans, and he took a set off him in the gold medal match there. One thing I'd say about Harrison Brown, fuck, he's got some gears. Like bigger the moment, then he'll come to play. So if it tightens up or he's a little down, you then get the best out of him. I don't think you see Harrison Brown very often, and maybe you won't see him obliterating opponents at times because he sort of just plays to a certain level until he's had enough, and then he decides to put on the throat. It's my observation.
Yeah, and I reckon his paddle was doing a little bit extra this weekend, using the 6-0.
Okay. Has he got a prototype, or is he?
I'm not sure. But I know he was going back and forth, so I'm not sure what he was using in the final. But Kyle Stoker said he was definitely playing some big pickle, and that the ball was it was a different look to what Kyle's been with Harrison before that paddle, and it was coming up big. I think Kyle actually referenced Tom Evans, and Tom was using the same paddle when Kyle played him last year, and he said, "Look, it didn't come off the paddle like that." So look, in many ways, Harrison was playing big on the weekend, and there's a few narratives to dig through.
I do want to give Kuznetsov some props for making it all the way through, but I'm actually a little more intrigued in just where we think Kyle Stoker's at. I mean, I think he deserves a little bit of pressure on his shoulders because for me, you can't go and beat Tom Evans and then not progress, all the way through to a final when Tom Evans isn't there. Is that fair or unfair, do you think?
No, it's a fair call, but Kyle definitely felt the pressure a bit more this weekend. Like he actually said to me, he feels like he is the target, whereas, he was targeting other players at the end of last year. No one really knew who Kyle was. But he still got through to the semi and then beat Nigel Lee.
Yeah, he did pick up the bronze.
Yeah, man. But he was cooked too. Like Nigel Lee had him on toast in that bronze medal match, and then Kyle kind of somehow got the second game, and then I think he was down 4 or 5-love in the third game, and then just got going. That's the thing about Stoker. If he can get that forehand working, then he's pretty hard to beat. But the thing with Harrison Brown is Harrison Brown didn't give Kyle too many easy looks, and Harry's such a big presence at the net and has incredible hands that Kyle couldn't combat that in time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I do love Kyle. I met him for the first time down at the PPA Melbourne event, and we said g'day to each other probably every freaking day. So, I'm looking forward to seeing him progress a fair bit more. Let's move on to gender doubles, mate. We'll start with the men's gender doubles.
Well, I'll just before we move on, Adam, I will just give a special shout out to Nigel Lee.
Yeah.
Nigel was probably one of the surprise packets in the men's singles on Sunday. In the pool matches, he took out Big Kuznetsov and Little Kuznetsov in Daniel and Tim. And then in the knockout stage, he took out Adam Dagmar, Joey Wild, and then he
Yeah.
went down to Matt Kuznetsov, who was avenging the loss of his brothers in a juicy semi-final.
Mate, I think that's a fair rap when you mentioned some of those names. Uh, yeah, wow.
Well, it reminded me of a movie, Adam. You know, I think it might have been Double Impact, or it's one of those Van Damme movies. Maybe it's
Yeah.
Kickboxer. Sorry, it's Kickboxer, where he's avenging the loss of his brother with Tong Po, the famous, I think, Thailand kickboxer. So I was thinking that Matt Kuznetsov was avenging the losses of his brothers in Tim and Daniel. And similar to Van Damme, Matt Kuznetsov can do the splits. He's one of the only players on the tour who can do the Van Damme splits. And we were lucky enough to see that several times throughout the day.
Right. Kuznetsov gives me Russian gymnast sort of vibe. So no doubt he's
Yeah.
got the flexibility.
Yeah. Well, he comes from a gymnast lineage. His mum was a gymnast, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, apparently Tim Kuznetsov said that Matthew got his mum's genes and Tim and Daniel got their dad's genes. And I don't know what their dad does, but I don't think he's a gymnast. But yeah, it's I think the movement of Dan Kuznetsov is as good as Tom Evans. Sorry, Matt Kuznetsov.
Ah.
And
Is Matt the middle brother? Is that what I'm garnering here?
yeah,
You
mate.
said
Yeah.
big Kuznetsov, little Kuznetsov. I'm assuming he's middle
Yeah, so it
Kuznetsov.
goes in order of youngest to oldest. It goes Tim, Matt, Daniel,
Right.
and of course, in any match, whenever you're playing a Kuznetsov, you're not just playing one of them; you're playing all of them because they're
Yeah.
all there watching, and they're all against you.
Well, I did see a little snippet, I think, in their finals match, the benches. So Harry Brown and Kuznetsov. Then you have the two Kuznetsov brothers behind. And I think you were referencing that the Kuznetsovs maybe couldn't really get their message across to Matt because of eavesdropping by Harry Brown. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So Matt was sitting right next to Harry Brown. So any tips that the Kuznetsov brothers were parlaying to him, then Harry Brown was within earshot. But to be fair to Harry sat there first. So that's on the Kuznetsov clan, you know, like, and a new reality show coming to Pickleball TV, keeping up with the Kuznetsovs. Can't wait to see that. But, you know, you want a bit of gossip, Adam? I heard.
Oh, we love spreading it. So, of
Yeah.
course.
Well, again, I don't know how. Well, I think it's true, but I don't know how much water it holds. Because I said I played pickleball today with someone, and they said, "Oh, so you reckon Matt Kuznetsov is the chosen Kuznetsov?" I said, "Well, you know, I think he's the form Kuznetsov. I think Dan's come off the pace a little bit." And someone said to me, "Dan Kuznetsov has found love. That's why.
Oh,
That's why." So
really?
yes,
I do subscribe to the theory that, more so actually when you have kids. I was always worried about Roger Federer when he started having kids, whether or not he would lose that killer instinct.
Mhm.
He broke the mold. He didn't. But you
Mm.
could be onto something here. If he's found love, well, if there's kids following, mate, then that could be game, set, and match for Kuznetsov Senior.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm sure.
Maybe you have to, mate, you might have to pull him under your wing. I'm sure you've had, many, many women that have come into your life and you've just had to brush them aside for your bigger goals.
Yes, but here's the thing: when it's the right woman or man, whatever you're into, they will actually lift all of your, endeavors, whether that's pickleball or your work. You will actually be playing the best pickleball of your life. So look,
Right.
I'm sure the Kuznetsov race will still be a close one over the next 12, 24 months. But
Well,
yes.
hopefully she's going to be the wind beneath his wings, mate.
Oh, there
Time
we
will
go.
tell.
There we go.
All right, men's gender doubles, gold, Joey Wild and George Wall. Silver, Matthew Barton. I don't know much about Matthew Barton and Mitchell Hargraves. Silver, one of your favourites, Daniel Fogel-Coolidge. Once again, very cool name to be saying, and Harrison Brown. Well, Joey Wild, another big signing for NPL, got all the way through to the goal. Did it with an old mate there, George Wald. Tell us about that match against Matthew Barton and Mitchell Hargraves.
Yeah, Matthew Barton, obviously a gun tennis player. I think he won a first round at Wimbledon. So, you've got to be a freak to do that. And he just got better and better as the day went on. And he's such a big unit, Matt Barton. Like, he is a monster. And in that final against Joey Wild and George Wall, they clearly tried to target Barton, but Barton wasn't giving an inch. Like, he was giving as good as he got for the first game. And he's so big that he wasn't letting Joey and George get into the net, because I know they were going to Matt for their third shot drop. But they couldn't get into the net because he's so big. So I know that they did change that and ended up going to Mitch for their third shot drop. And Mitch is obviously a gun player, but he's a bit smaller. And then they could get into the net and really take control of the points.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing a lot more of Matthew Barton because, to partner with someone like Mitch Hargraves and then do as well as they did, obviously he's got some game.
Well, mate,
Um,
for a guy who doesn't play, I mean, I said
yeah,
to him, because a lot of people were talking about Barton and saying, oh, no one's really seen him around. And I was calling him Kaiser Soze from The Usual Suspects, like, does this guy really exist? And so when I saw him, I said, so you're real? Kaiser Soze is a real person. And he goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said, well, are you here for the cash, Matt? What's the story? He said, no, I'm just here for fun. I've been drilling for a week, and I'm just here to have fun. But clearly, his skill, like natural skill level, just gets him, to the final and
yeah,
almost winning it. And he just seemed not nonplussed by the whole event in
yeah,
terms of, like, I don't think this guy feels pressure. You played first round at Wimbledon. You know what pressure feels like. In the big points, he was there and he wasn't phased. So it'd be exciting to see more of him, but I don't know if we will.
So he's not a part of NPL season that's starting very soon. He didn't get drafted or anything like that. He's literally just picked up a paddle in the last few months.
Yeah, I mean, and this guy would apparently he played singles a while ago at a tournament last year and beat everyone. Again, I
Yeah.
don't. It's just all of these.
Could be Fugazi
Well,
at the
that's it.
moment.
Yeah, it's very. The rumor mill is rolling with Barton. But look, I know what I saw on Saturday, and I saw one of his resets in the quarterfinal. The first point of the quarterfinal, I think he was playing against Benjamin Beard and troublemaker Adam Walters. And I saw the first reset, and I said to Dylan Kimlin, I said, these guys are making the final. Just as soon as I saw that, I was like, no, there's this Barton guys. He's just warming up. So, yeah, but Joey and George were never. I don't think they were ever going to lose.
Hmm.
But they probably didn't play their best pickle, but they still got it done.
They're a huge combination. I think we'll probably see them in many more tournaments this year. Peer to peer, they're pretty equal, I would have thought. Women's doubles, mate. Gold, Selena Trajulia and Danielle Townsend. Michaela Haight and Summer Dalabona played off in the final. They picked up the silver, and then B. Massey and Sarah Dennehy coming off a nice long stint there in the US. We should talk about the winners, our grinners first. And let's talk about Selena because she was another big signing. She originated NPL, went across to the PPA last year, and now has come back to NPL. And, mate, she's performed really well and a solid partner for Danielle here.
Yeah, great partner. I think they played together in the Australian Open or the Australian Grand Slam or whatever it was at the start of the year. Um, Danny's a freak. We know
Mm.
that. And Selena's a freak too. Selena doesn't get enough credit for what a gun she is. Some of her backhand cross court is as good as there is. It's up there with Summer Dellabonna. It's a nasty shot. Her forehand cross court is also a nasty shot. So and it resets. Selena is just a strong player. Um, and yeah, they defeated Michaela Hayden and Summer Della Bona. I think it was close, but I just think there's a few more weaknesses in Mickey Hayden and Summer Della Bona than Danny and Selena. Just as a holistic team, I think
Yeah,
they
as a
gelled
combination.
really well together, Selena and Danny. And um, yeah, I don't think the team of Hayden and SDB were going to get it done.
Tell me a bit more about Sarah Dennehy. Obviously, we were all a bit in awe when she played against Annalie Waters. She got that opportunity. She stayed on and traveled throughout the US. She's just returned. She picked up a swag of medals in the 5.0 division almost everywhere she went. How did she go throughout the tournament?
Yeah, I think everyone was really excited to see how Sarah went. Obviously, has a huge game. She's a sweet striker of the ball. Big results at NPL season 2. Has been in America, as you said. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously got the bronze in the women's doubles. I think she made us the round of maybe a quarter in the women's singles, but she got done actually 15-2 by Summer Della Bona. Summer wasn't very kind to Sarah, but I think Sarah was a little bit injured. Someone said that she's got a bit of a knee niggle, so that's going to affect things in the singles. But yeah, I think obviously keep an eye on her. She'll still have a big season, but I don't know if she was fully fit this last weekend.
Yeah, okay. Any key upsets or surprises in either of the gender, women's or men's for you? Notable?
Oh, mate, look, not off the top of my head. I,
I think all
I
the big names, especially on the women's side, they all made it through when we talk about who was on the podium there. All the key signings are there.
yeah, look, for me, the best doubles player is Danielle Townsend. And so whoever pairs with her is gonna win most of those matches. You know,
Mhm.
I think she's just so smart on the court. She's got a great tactician in her corner in Ben Costin as her coach, and they have great communication together. And Ben, you know, I spent a bit of time with Ben over the weekend, and he simplifies pickleball tactics um, and dilutes it down to what needs to be done, and he can pass on that message to his clients in the heat of the battle, which is absolutely priceless when you're playing, because when you're in a match, you've got so many emotions, you can't see the forest from the trees. So to have someone in your corner who can say, listen, put it here, target this person, it's going to open up this part of the court, then you've got some system for each point.
Isn't it funny? Probably what Ben gets criticised for most is being clear and direct. What you're talking about there as a pickleball coach, clear and direct is the way you need to be to get on with your message.
Yeah. And yeah, I spoke to Ben just about pickleball tactics quite a lot. And this guy lives and breathes pickleball.
Mm.
So yeah, he does his study, and he knows his stuff. And I think you look at his clients and the, you know, players he coaches in Townsend, George Wall, Joey Wild, and a bunch of others. They had really big weekends. I think going into Sunday, he was 4 from 4 in terms of, or 3 from 3 in the divisions. So yeah, it's whereas, and I think singles, there's a little bit less nuance with some of the tactics. I think singles is a bit more like tennis, and I think the strategies can sometimes be a bit more obvious. But doubles is a game of millimeters.
Agree. All right, moving on to mixed doubles. Gold medalists. Well, it was the two key signings. It was Danielle Townsend and Joey Wild. They defeated Michaela Hyatt and Mitch Hargraves, and the bronze Selena Julia and Joey Wild. I'm a big fan of Mickey Hyatt. I think she's had a pretty solid run since August when she competed in the pickleball championships here on the Gold Coast. She obviously proved to be, pretty solid teammate for Mitch Hargraves, both Sydney siders, so they do get to spend a fair bit of time together. But ultimately, the the class and I guess the familiar teamwork between Danielle and Joey, that was the standout performance for the weekend.
Yeah, 100%. And Joey and Danny were down against George Wall and Selena in the semi. They were down, I think it was 8-3 or 9-3 in that first game. And I said to Dylan, who I was commentating with, I said, just, I was mucking around. I said, are they going to throw this game? And he's like, nah, mate. And it's a good thing they didn't because they won that first game and won in straight sets. Yeah, Danny's a great front runner and so is Joey Wild. So you don't want to let them have a sniff and start feeling confident. But yeah, again, I think it was Danny and Joey's to lose, and Mickey and Mitch gave a good account of themselves. But I don't know, just for mine, they're not as strong as a pair as Joey and Danny, who have played together so often, and not only do they gel well together in terms of their playing style, but emotionally, because Danny's quite emotional. Joe, they're like brother and sister. Those two, they understand each other. They can say anything they want to each other. I was actually staying with Joey and Danny, and Danny was having a go at Joey for stealing her avocado in the morning. He's like, "Did you steal my avocado? What the hell, man?" And then Joey's like, "No, no, I didn't. Mine's here." But that just goes to the relationship that they have. It's like a brother sister vibe, and they're they can say what's on their mind rather than trying to be polite.
Yeah, right. Tell you what, they wouldn't be worrying about the price of avocados after the weekend they've had, Ash. Jesus. You got a fair bit of pocket money now, don't they?
Yeah, avocados are pretty expensive at the moment. I think they're $3.50 or $4. But yeah, look, Joey Wild obviously has just landed in Japan for the PWR 700. Danny Townsend also going to Japan, so hopefully she can repair her injury and be ready to go for that tourney. But yeah, I think she'll be okay. And yeah, it's an exciting start to the year.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed that she's okay, and yeah, we can see plenty more of her on the court this year. Mate, you mentioned Nigel Lee as your standout performer, or one of the standout performers. Anyone else come to mind on the men's or women's side that we should be looking out for as the season progresses?
Oh, look, no one who you wouldn't have already thought as a gun. I'm just Nigel stood out because no
Who we
disrespect
took
to
down?
Nigel, it was a nobody before Saturday.
Yeah.
I actually played Nigel 3 or 4 months ago and took care of him, but he's improved big time, and he lives in Perth. He's got no one to drill with, no one to play with. And I said to him, what's the secret? Because you've lifted your level, man. Like, what have you done? And he said, look, I just go out with my dad because I've got no one else to play with. A bucket of balls. I make my dad feed me balls every morning. Kwong Dong's dad style, and they just do a bucket of balls every morning, and that's all he can put it down to. So he's looking now to move to Melbourne or Gold Coast full time, just to have more people to play pickleball with. He's a young dude, comes from a tennis background, and has the best slice forehand approach. Probably on the tour.
Okay. Big call. Well, it's good to see or hear at least that he's wanting to move to one of these hubs in either the Gold Coast or Melbourne. So if he heads my way, mate, I'll take him under my wing. If he heads your way, I hope you'll do the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe don't beat up on him too hard. Jesus.
No, well, you don't want. Here's the thing, Adam. You don't want to give everyone your chips because invariably you have to play them. I played against. I won't say who it is, but I played against this guy at the PPA, and I beat him 11-love, 11 up in a practice match. 11-love, 11 love, and he was down in the dumps. And I said to him, "Oh, look, I'll tell you something. You always go cross court. And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I played him in the PPA, and he beat me because he started going down the line So you don't want to share all your secrets until you're, yeah, an old man in a rocking chair and you're properly retired.
I thought you were the charity work. Hey, mate.
Yeah, no, mate. Look, I should have known, but when you think you've got someone covered, you think there's no way this dude's beaten me ever, and then,
Yeah.
yeah, pickleball it really is a game of chess, and you can't give away your moves. And the fun thing about pickleball, Adam, is people are always working on their moves. I
Mm.
feel like we saw a new level from Harrison Brown. I think his level is like evolving and building, and yeah, and that goes for many many other players too. Everyone's trying to add new shots and develop new shots so that they can have the edge on their opponents.
Well, mate, I reckon we're about time. I know that you've got to head off, and I've got a family to get home to as well. But what tournament are you playing in next? Where can we catch you having a hit?
Mate, I'm playing in a split age thing at the Vic Open.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
yeah, that's all I've got at the moment. But I might come up and see you for this Tweed Heads tournament if Red Joe's is
Yeah,
still open. But otherwise, I'll be involved with the NPL season coming up and commentating. And I'm there's a Div 2 now as well, so um, we'll be getting involved in that, and then looking to commentate and do some more hosting stuff with the NPL for this upcoming season.
nice, mate. Well, I did love your preview. I said that to you off air. The thing I loved about it, you must use the same app as I do, the Captions app.
Oh, so I didn't actually put
Oh,
together
you
the
didn't do it?
captions. No, I filmed
Eb?
it.
Was Eben doing it?
Evan, I think Evan did it.
Okay, love it. I'm gonna have to message him because I love the way that he didn't change like surnames because Caption has this
Mm.
wonderful way of absolutely butchering an Aussie accent and just assuming that it's spelt this way or that way. And I was pissing myself the whole way through. Some of the some of the words that were said and then the caption just did not marry up. So I'm gonna have to message him and say, mate, I think I'm gonna start doing the same thing because I'm so fastidious. I will change all that stuff because I want it to be perfect. But I actually thought there was great comedy, and I thought it was all you. I thought this was you had your fingerprints all over it.
No, well, I sent through the video, and then Evan put some polishes on it. But I know that they were up against it in terms of like they were setting up the courts there in Sydney at Oxford Falls Grammar, and they didn't have much time. So I think
Oh,
Evan just
he
put
does
it
a great
through.
job.
Yeah, I
He's
think he
solid.
just, well, ordinarily, I think you would have probably spent more time on it, but he put it through I think
Oh
it was
man, I thought it was
Capture.
perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it
No,
was good.
I thought it was perfect. I thought it was light comedy. It was good. So keep up the good work, mate. Thanks for joining me. And anytime you do come up here, let's thrash one out with yeah, smash and dash ash.
Oh, mate, I'm keen. I got to say, the Gold Coast pickleball scene it looks like that's where you want to be.
Yeah. Oh, mate, the amount of pickup games, like it's a hotbed for that. And so yeah, you can always guarantee you're going to play half a dozen good games in a short period of time. So you're welcome anytime,
Yeah, right. Pickup game sounds good.
mate.